Let's begin the final episode of the PPC Unfiltered podcast for 2024 because we're
Yes.
moving into 2025. So, everyone, welcome to the episode. Cory Lindholm, Michael Nadalin. You should know that by now. If you don't, watch all the old episodes and you'll know who
Yes.
we are. Today is the last episode of the year. So, there's two topics we're going to chat about that we literally decided 30 seconds ago about, but we'll start with the most important thing, asking Cory how he is. Cory, how you going, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm kind of tired. I need to shave everything. I got too much hair. I've just been so
Good.
busy with things, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, oh man, I just been so busy in a good way. Again, I appreciate the challenge, but I've been doing a lot of development work, a lot of agency work, developing all bunch of applications, very niche things, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm good. I cannot wait for like kind of a week off next
Yeah.
week for Christmas. How about you, man? How's things?
Yeah, good. Really busy. I think I'm definitely ready to wind down. My brain feels like a mashed potato now. It feels all over the shop. My business partner, my team would agree with that as well. It's been an amazing year. I've just recognized that I'm just needing ready. I'm ready for a break now.
Sure.
And yeah, I think it's an exciting time because, December has been very interesting. A lot of new business opportunities, new accounts going live. There's, the US elections kind of really push some market forces for people to have positivity in the markets. It just seems like we're going to be moving into 2025 with like a lot of speed. And I probably need a break before that speed happens because,
Hmm.
I'm the tip of that rocket. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited.
Good, man. Well, it is exciting. I always appreciate the end of the year. It's a good time to take inventory on how the year was for you. I know it's a little cliche, but I think from both a personal standpoint, but also a professional standpoint, you had kind of
Yeah.
touched on before the call, like, what are things that we want to learn this year? I think that's a really great question going into the new year. I think it's very easy to go into the new year feeling a little bit overwhelmed that you don't know enough, and this environment of digital advertising, digital marketing has been changing so rapidly, and all this stuff with the evolution of AI. So yeah, I think it's a good question. I'd love to dive in and hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on that.
So there's two questions we're going to ask today. Fam are the people who are watching. Is number one is Cory and myself asking each other what are the biggest things we've learned this year? Because every year, because of the work that we do, the industry we're in, and we're on the front line doing it ourselves, you're forced to learn. You can't not learn.
Yeah.
Like the advertising channels, the client problems, the patterns you see across multiple clients, and time just compounds a lot of that. So that would be number one, just like 2024, the biggest lessons we've learned. And then next is 2025. What are the things we are focusing on, the skills we want to learn, just anything for 2025, like what direction we're moving in? Because there's a lot of things, even if we just do what we do now, moving forward, we'll have astronomical growth because that's the nature of the beast of this industry.
Mm.
But at the same time, you don't want to be reactive to clients and the industry. You also want to have that proactive nature where you decide what direction you move in because there are so many ways you can move in. I know myself, for example, I've changed so much in the last year and a bit just because of just the decisions I've made. Like, I don't want to just be this Google Ads specialist. That's not my identity anymore. And when people come to me purely for Google Ads, I'm like, buddy, that ain't me. We're doing something bigger here. So that's for an example. But Cory, let's start with you, mate.
Mm.
2024, biggest lessons, insights, thoughts on the industry, things like that. What have you noticed this year shifting either in yourself or
Yeah.
the industry in general?
Well, like we had talked about prior to the call, I think every year it's always a push for me. I think every week, every day, I feel like this insatiable need to try to get better, learn more, sharpen the axe. Right. I think for this year in particular, I got even more heavy than in past years into utilizing programming languages to just get more out of the data, to develop tools and systems and processes for just maximizing results and getting deeper into analyses. I know that's really vague, but it's an entire world of statistical testing and writing code for a specific application. So I really went down deeper than in that rabbit hole than ever, and I've been coding with Python since like 2019, 2020. And after all these years, I always find something new. And the
Yeah.
industry evolves more and more, right? I find myself looking and learning more about data science and statistics, which are hand in hand, as opposed to the latest, thing on Google Ads. Obviously, we keep up. We have this podcast. We keep up on news. We keep up on updates, features. But monitoring every little UX change, in the Google Ads interface is just a better use of
Hey,
my
there was a
time.
bug in the program today. Did anyone notice that? 100 likes.
Yeah, and it's like we talk about this, like not to throw shade on content creators, they got to talk about something,
Yeah.
and they're trying to stay relevant and top of mind. And AI, interface changes and UX changes. Cool. Okay, whatever. That's if that's what works for you and your fans appreciate it. I appreciate people. Somebody's staying on top of those things. Good to know. It's just not a good use of my
Yeah.
time. Anyway, my point really just being less about the Google Ads stuff. I mean, obviously, again, I'm very on top of those things, and that's
Yeah.
my day to day. But I find myself getting so much more for my clients by focusing on learning this huge skill set that is behind data science and statistics, because that's the stuff that if I have big clients especially, that's what they're coming to me for. They don't need just another person that knows the difference between target ROAS and target CPA and
Yeah.
just general testing. They're wanting to like integrate their applications with some tools they built internally, to scale. They want to integrate that with the Google Ads API. They really are pushing the boundaries of what's possible and utilizing their own internal data to feed the Google machine. And that's been really exciting. So that's where I find myself focusing a lot. What about you?
Nice, man. Well, it's interesting. It's actually the same. I know we've got different methodologies around it, but it's exactly the same. Less time in the Google Ads account and more in the actual data science and data analysis and the data consulting as well. Because I've been saying this all year because like I'm sound like a broken record, but it's purely because like success doesn't come from inside the account. It's always outside of the account, either in the data that you analyze from the account outside of the account, data from the business, or just the intelligence that you acquire from the business, being like the consulting or the feedback that you get. So I think this year more than ever, I recognize that I'm spending way less time in accounts, more time in spreadsheets, more time speaking to clients, more time consulting, more time, honestly, just asking hard questions like that actually make me feel uncomfortable. And then more time actually doing the real attribution work of actually making sure that the first impression, first dollar spent does equate to quotes and sales, and just being really aware of like the cause and effect. And whilst there's no linear line, at least giving some sort of clear linear reporting to clients, because even if you're 20% accurate, that's 20% more visibility than they had in the past.
Hmm.
And a lot of businesses now need more visibility on that data, especially in a day and age now where data is so important. It is the most important commodity in business. Yet people just treat it like, oh, yeah, we've got some clicks and impressions here, and we had some sales offline. And they're trying to mentally just magically go, oh, we spent this much and we made this much, and just kind of intuiting a cause effect, which I'm all for intuition, but not when it comes to money. Never when it comes to money. So that's a big thing this year, is just spending way more time just doing data analysis. And honestly, because I've been doing it for so long, it's simplifying it even further so it's palatable to clients. So rather than going so deep and getting all these reports, and because I've done the years of building out heaps of reports and like, oh, we can fund this and this. And it's like, for me, it's like I've got the 3-step approach which I go for, which is it simple? Is it practical? Does it deliver results? And I'm trying to make sure that when I'm showing data to clients, even after all the exploration, is it simple? Can they comprehend it? Is it practical? Can we actually do something with this data? And then number 3 is, does it deliver results? Like, even when it's practical, will it actually deliver further results for the clients?
Mhm.
And that's why this year, like when I've seen all this stuff online and everyone's strategies, I put it through that filter, because it's like 99% of stuff will not pass that. 99% of stuff is complicated and not practical and not doesn't deliver results. So that we had a chat last week, Cory, after our chat, where you're saying that you're listening to an investment guru, and they were saying like, look, after their life, they realize the most important thing is forced simplicity, not simplicity, but forcing simplicity.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I've been noticing myself this year, like forcing simplicity. When I'm noticing things getting a bit complicated or like going down some rabbit holes, I'm like, no, Michael, come back. Where are you actually going to be making money for the client? Not what is
Yeah.
good. Where can you mentally masturbate over this? Where can you make yourself look good? Like, where are you going to make money? Because when you make people a lot of money, you'll end up making a lot of money.
Yeah, and you
Rent
mention this
as
all
well.
the time, right? When things are complicated, you tend to avoid doing that. That's just human nature, right? I
Yeah.
literally had this yesterday when I was like 2 hours, I think it was at least 2 hours into this rabbit hole where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a script for this because the Google Ads API doesn't like this, pulling product data across standard shopping and PMAX campaigns. So I'm going to have to develop a script, which was really easy, but it's like a script just to pull out the product titles and the product IDs, and then I can use that as a reference table. And then it's like, all right, well, then I'm going to have to pull that into a local drive and encrypt it. So I'm going to have to create an app script for that. Okay, I did that. Okay. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is becoming so complicated
Yeah.
just so I can get product titles
Yeah.
through the Google Ads API. Now, people might be aware of Mike Rudd's script and like, how does he get the product titles? Well, actually, it's because the Google Ads query language is a little more dated and it doesn't have the same restrictions as the Google Ads API. So
Yeah.
I learned that fun fact through a long rabbit hole. So that was great. But the whole point was I just went, okay, I'm 2 hours into this. And as much as I don't want to start from scratch, this is becoming too complicated. I'm not going to use that. But I think
Yeah.
that is a sign of mastery over time, right? You do
Yes.
force simplicity. You find yourself going, I'm never going to use this. This is too
Yeah.
complicated. And honestly, this is unnecessary complication given what I just need for this, right? Like if I just need
Yeah.
product titles, there's another way I can go about it.
Yeah.
Probably, it won't be fully automated and programmatic and whatever, but that's a perfect world. Sometimes we got to move at the speed of business, and that means simplicity.
Yeah. Beautiful. I thought you were going to say I just ended up downloading the product performance in just like the Google Ads interface when you just download it as a CSV file.
I used to do that, but that is not programmatic. And man, that's like across
Yeah.
a lot of clients, that is not very scalable. Yes, yes, yes.
The yeah, in terms of simplicity, because it's simplicity doesn't mean easy. It's really important that
Mm-hmm.
it's simplicity usually is hard because it requires mental discipline, but also a skill discipline and intellectual discipline to know what specifically you need to do. A simplicity, like it's even the point where simplicity may be front loaded, where it like takes a lot of work on the front end and then it's down. Like I've got clients who are paying a lot of money, and I'm probably only working on their account 10 minutes a week. And I don't say that because it's like I wouldn't like really tell them that, not just because like sometimes people's value distortion messes up. But when they started, I built out these really intricate, clear, and simple reporting for them across multiple businesses of theirs. So I could literally, for myself as well, I can look at that one sheet and know how the performance is. So whilst traditionally a lot of advertisers or specialists would use either they'd be going to the account or using some pre-built tracking tool, third party, I've built these things out. So I spent maybe 15, 20 hours building out just, a Google sheet, which looks really simple, but the intricacy of it and the alignment for the business means that the client gets the exact data that they need any moment of the day, week, month of the year. And I get to look at it and go, cool, this one thing's off. I go into the account, do that. So I just know how to make sniper shots. And that's a big thing I've learned this year. I don't want to be going into the account messing around. I just look at the data. Where is it not going well? Take a sniper shot, leave it there for 2 weeks, dress it again. So
Mm-hmm.
spending less time, but that less time, it's like that old, the whole thing about the boiler room and the king asked that dude to like fix a screw and he charged him like $1,000. And he's like, why was it $1,000 to move the screw? It's like, a dollar for the screw, 999 to know where to turn and which screw it was. And that's
Mm-hmm.
I feel like what a lot of my work is now is just like doing that one thing. But that one thing consistently has a huge uptick in client accounts. And I think that's a big lesson I learned this year is like forcing that simplicity on myself of not getting too in my head about like, yeah, but if the client finds out how much time you're spending on the account, maybe like this and that. I'm like, for me now, I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm making them a lot of money. It's just like very binary. Are they making a lot of money or not? It's not about how much time or how sophisticated or the new thing or the new script or the new feature. It's just like, are they making a lot of money or not. And that's a big progress I've noticed in myself, is moving away from that specialist who was so in the account, making sure I was doing everything like pixel perfect, but whatever the Google version of that is, and just going to, is this making cash? And that's when those conversations I'd have with the client is like, how are your sales going? Why are the sales so low compared to your quotes? Why is that salesperson not good enough? And like, those are those tough questions, because if I can see that this is going well, this is going well, and then it drops off near the sales point, I will have that conversation with the client.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why those tough conversations, the data analysis side, and all of that stuff, I've learned that this year. And
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that's going to be me for the rest of my life now. Because I don't know, similar to you, Cory, I don't know how many people you know like us who are having these conversations with clients, because most people are not. They're either working in an agency where they're just like, I'm the ads person, I'm not anything more than that. Or people are freelancers where they're like, they've got this mind virus going, if I'm just better at the skill set, then I'll get more clients or then I'll make
Mm-hmm.
more money. The skill set is important. That's step one, but that's not the last step. And I feel like that's where you and I have been able to transform ourselves and our businesses, because we've just gone, yes, we know the skill, we do the skill, it's all good, but there's more than the skill.
Yeah, look, you can know how to swing the hammer in a perfect way, but you got to know what to hammer. You got to know
Yeah,
how to actually, not just to how to use it, but where to use it.
yeah.
And again,
My enemy's
PPC is a
hands,
tool.
my
Yeah,
enemy's head on the back.
but again, we've talked about this several times. Google Ads, Microsoft Ads, Facebook Ads, whatever it is, Meta Ads, whatever you want to call it. It's a tool. It's a
Yeah,
tool to get something done for a business,
yeah,
and you're going to be good at that. But it doesn't mean that the results are going to be good sometimes,
yeah,
right? So, I have people reach out to me and ask for that sort of starting advice all the time, whether they're just getting into freelancing or whether they're starting their career in digital marketing. Just random LinkedIn questions about that. And I try to be a nice guy and answer most of them if I can, just trying to give them some practical advice. And they tend to
you're not
say that
nice.
same thing.
You're
No,
not nice,
no, I'm
Cory.
a
You're
horrible person.
savage. You're savage.
I just ignore everybody. Yeah.
Figure it out, you piece of
And
shit.
stop sending me, you salespeople, stop sending me these LinkedIn messages of like just your pitch. It's like, dude, let's have an introduction. Bro, I cannot
Yeah.
stand these messages. That's a whole nother topic. That's a rant for us right there. But anyway, Michael, moving into 2025, sir, that was interesting to hear. Like 2024, I think we're both on the same page.
Yeah.
Simplicity, things we've learned, obviously very technical skills. We're trying to deepen the knowledge base of, whatever's going to drive value for the client. And if we find that that's data analysis, we get deeper into that. If we find
Yeah.
that it's creative because AI is doing all the data analysis for us, I love to hear people's arguments on that. So we'll see where that goes. But if it eventually becomes it's all doing that and we're just the creative agencies now, well, then you and I, if we want to keep doing this, we'll focus head on mostly into the creative side.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so it's interesting regardless. But let's talk about 2025, man. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear right off the bat, what are some things that you're excited about going into the new year and things that are top of mind for you?
Beautiful. Mate, I think it's actually perfect the word you use, the creative side. Because the creative side, everyone, is not images and videos. It's intellectual creativity, it's
Mm-hmm.
strategic creativity, it's data creativity. So the stuff that we're already talking about, that's our version of creativity. It's not just like this, because the AIs and the algorithms will only be based on the inputs. And if you put generic creative inputs in, being it intellectual creativity, you'll get generic outputs. So yeah, look, 2025, it's interesting because I haven't consciously sat down and written down the vision, but this is what's already happening in my company. Number one, I'm spending more time speaking to clients and less time in the ad accounts because I've got the team to do more of it. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still in ad accounts. I still know all the data. I think that's just part of me. So I'm not worried about losing that, because it's just like, I'm so naturally data driven. I was playing like cards with someone yesterday, and it was like a new game, and I was winning all the time because I could just like remember the cards and stuff. I'm like, sometimes you just have natural skills around numbers and data and remembering data that you just don't need to make sure that you're keeping up with the Joneses on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So a big thing this year moving forward is really more business, the getting deeper with the business and identifying where specifically the gaps are, and
Mm-hmm.
then using data analysis and the data in the ad platforms and creative thinking to bridge the gaps. it's more of what I'm doing, but with more simplification and less distraction.
Yeah.
So not getting caught up in like random conversations every day here and there about random thing in ad accounts. It's like,
No.
no, what's the bigger picture? What's the outcome of the business? Where's their problem? And what do we need to do to bridge that rather than be like, oh, this ROAS is down here. Like, I just can't, like, it's just more about saying no to just like low level thinking and worrying about shit that's not important.
Yeah.
Like, it's that definitely education with my team around data analysis. A big
Hmm.
thing my team's been asking about is like, hey, how can we get as good as you with like this data analysis stuff? I'm like, it's just like easy. You just do some spreadsheets and you know a few concepts and like, dude, this ain't easy. I'm like, oh yeah, true. Like this is a me thing.
You
And
forget.
then I had
Yeah.
someone on LinkedIn, a guy called Joey, who's like he's a good Google Ads dude. He was asking me about a Google Ads doing like a data analysis or like a this type of stuff course, and I was telling you about that, Cory,
Hmm.
and I was like, I might seriously consider that, not to actually put out publicly, but to actually refine my own thinking around this, because I will find out where my gaps are in my education myself. And I've been asking a few people I really respect around data analysis, like, yeah, what are the things that you use? Because I these are my two little. This is just my. I went from six figures to seven figures by just getting really good at Google Sheets. Now you can't sell it, but the ability of leveraging data to get better insights, to get better results, but to reduce your time and stuff means that you can manage more accounts with more ease and less effort.
Hmm.
But then also layered that in with better communication skills. It just amplified everything. So I'm going to be doubling down on my data analysis this year, blended with communication and client intelligence side. More delegation to the team, just so I'm less involved with the day to day stuff, like really letting go of control, as some would say,
Hmm.
and just staying up with it. Like, and not with Google Ads, but like the trends of the markets. The markets are shifting. Very interestingly, we've over this year, because of the AI boom, we've had a few clients come on who are AI companies, software companies, crypto hedge fund companies, like really these new type of emerging industries that
Hmm.
are extremely lucrative, extremely market leading, no pun intended, higher market lead, and just staying up to trend of what are the strategies that are going to work for these emerging markets, because crypto isn't going everywhere, AI is not going anywhere, software is not going anywhere, and just staying excited around it, because these old things are like working with plumbers and shit like that. Bro, that ain't me. That's boring. It's low ticket. I just want to be in industries that are making millions of dollars, millions, and just like helping them make that and being on the journey with them and just staying excited and staying on the forefront and just, yeah, that's that. That's me.
Have you? This is a kind of random question, but I was curious because you're a lot more in the lead gen side than I am. Have you
Yeah.
seen any any companies that have really come out as being leaders in the lead generation attribution side? Because I feel like that is still a major struggle,
Nah,
and I
dude.
haven't found anything yet that I'm really happy with.
Honestly, that's why you've just come back to simplicity. You've got to run the ads yourself and have good UTMs on them, like dynamic UTMs, quite standard. A landing page that you run and control. So you're sending traffic to a landing page with a good offer. So you're incentivizing people to submit their information earlier on. Make sure the landing page captures all the UTM strings and then do the attribution yourself. Uh,
Hmm.
I've spoken to a lot of these bigger, like these attribution companies for e-commerce, asking if they do it for lead generation. They either say no or we're working on it. But you're right.
Yeah.
And it's a different beast. And I can understand why it's not a high priority, because people aren't screaming for it. E-commerce, people are screaming for attribution,
Hmm.
but lead generation, they're not. That's why this year, when I'm talking about all this work that we've been doing, it's basically that, but it's more from like a very using UTM strings, landing page data, all that stuff. And it's still pretty powerful. It's still really powerful. It's just not as multi-channel type of attribution, but even still with like e-commerce, I still kind of like, I don't know how accurate that is. I feel like it sends more of a direction rather than accuracy from my experience. What are your thoughts on that from the lead generation perspective? Like, have you looked for anything, or like you just think that it's actually a big gap?
I think it's a really big gap. I do agree that some of your best things that you can do internally, especially if you don't have any data scientists hanging around, is going to be UTM parameter tracking, your
Yeah,
CRM integrations, especially if you use like a Salesforce or a
yeah,
HubSpot, getting that, going through that very arduous process of getting that integrated with the Google Ads ecosystem if you do Google Ads. Um, think you've got like webhooks, it's like real time
yeah,
lead data to your attribution database. I don't know if that makes sense to most people. And then just your normal event tracking, right, through Google Tag Manager and
yeah.
what have you. But as far as the tools and softwares, that's why I said I still haven't found something I'm super happy with. For as like a third party option. So I don't know. I'm still looking. I'm really hoping that people can
Right.
come out
I'm
of the
gonna tell
woodwork
you,
and someone can solve that issue.
Google Sheets and UTM's can make you do a lot of shit. Maybe as
Yeah.
some may say, black hat stuff. I wouldn't never do that. You can actually do a lot of deep data stuff with UTM strings, pushing into a spreadsheet, Google Tag Manager. There's a lot of stuff you can do. A lot of stuff.
Talking like
People
hashed
don't realize it.
identifiers. Is that what you mean? Email,
No,
phone,
but
that kind of
I've
thing?
done that before with Google Tag Manager. There's a lot of
Okay.
stuff you can do. Google
Okay.
Tag, like, it is ridiculous. I don't think people actually understand the data abuse you can do with just Google Tag Manager by itself.
Mm.
It is wild. You can
Yeah.
launch scripts that literally will do, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I haven't even done it. But I just think creatively, I'm like, oh, you could do that. You could do that. You know, you can
Mm.
screen record people's sessions with like all their data in it. You can like do the cache or session visits, like measure that they've actually been before. It's like I just don't think people really understand it. And then companies just like give agencies like admin access to it. You could be like scraping people's credit card details off that shit.
Mm.
There's literally that
Yeah.
you can't like you just do like data layers and or just like screen captures and stuff. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Hmm.
I haven't done that yet, but that's how I think.
Well, I do hope that with all these LLMs that are getting more sophisticated, so the ChatGPTs, Perplexities, what have you, the Claudes or whatever, I do think that more people have accessibility to creating their own internal systems as opposed to
Yeah,
leaning on third party tools. So I do hope that we see more sort of cross device, sort of omni channel attribution that's self built, that just relies on your own data. You don't have to
yeah,
give this proprietary information, like all of your profit information, to these companies. Not that I'm completely against it. Obviously you need something, right? And
yeah,
sometimes it's better just to delegate it to a software or a tool that charges you and it is what it is than just
yeah,
build it out yourself. But I do hope that people are getting better at cross-device attribution, omni-channel attribution, also incrementality testing. I do feel
yeah,
like this has always been like a little comment section in a post where someone's like, "But what's the incremental lift?" And I feel like a lot of people talk about it, but you don't really see people getting into the weeds
yeah,
as much. So I do hope that that's also something with the accessibility of these LLMs, be able to educate people a little bit more on like how can we do that? How can we build like a little tool
yeah,
internally that helps us to judge incrementality and attribution and also lead quality scoring. I do feel like that
yep,
has really been slept on for a long time rather than just taking whatever value you've sort of manually put in there into Google Ads or Google Tag Manager, whatever, for a lead, or then backfilling it later. Some kind of predictive lead quality scoring, I hope, is going to become more accessible to people with these tools, where you can essentially just weight the attribution based on the lead quality, that's coming in instead of just pure lead volume or backfilling. So
yeah.
anyway, just a couple of thoughts, a little more
No, look, I
technical.
actually that's what we're already doing, like lead scoring or lead
Mm-hmm.
temperature, and a lot of it. It's a two-part system. Number one, you've got to start asking more qualifying questions rather than just like name, email, phone number.
Yeah.
You've got to ask people. What we do is ask them what in like in a B2B context, we ask them what industry are you from, and making sure there's always a answer that it's like I'm an individual or hobbyist. So that way you can actually go, look, I'm actually targeting people in the industries that I want versus normies, and then asking a few other qualifying questions. So then you at least know on the front end from a, um, it is qualitative, but like it's more just like the person's like the self-elected quantitative qualitative work, And then when the salesperson goes through the call, then they go, look, this lead is legit. It's a warm, medium, hot. They're quoted them or not quoted them. So then based on those different variables, then a lead score can come out. It's all kind of very simple. You don't have to feed that back into the account because a lot of the time the volume of that data is so small at the start that it won't be, the Google Click ID and all that stuff. It just won't be as powerful. But it's more for your own sentiment offline, knowing that, hey, are we moving in the right direction or not? And I think you're right, like that lead scoring stuff. You can do it. Once again, you've got to have the skills to creatively think, how can I do this?
Yeah.
And that's what we do with like our Google ads or ads channels to lead page with the UTMs and all the data pushing into a spreadsheet. Then we do all the advanced analysis, which will then give us the insights towards, is this a qualified lead or not? Yeah. Before even the agent says something, or the sales agents, because a lazy sales agent will always say the leads are shit. So you've got to make sure that you're actually making sure that the leads are good quality before you even get their feedback on it.
Yeah. It's as old as time. The marketer blames the sales team blames the marketing team when things aren't going well. It's the circle of life.
Actually, so yeah, fuck, that's relatable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me for this year. What about you, mate? Not this year, next year, 2025, Cory. What are your focus points, mate?
So I think a big part of it, other than getting deeper into the stuff that I've already mentioned, is really trying to get better, in particular at forecasting and projections, and utilizing that into our strategy talks with clients. So this is something that I've been utilizing and has made a huge difference in 2024 that I want to get even deeper and better at. So this is like creating custom models for clients that say, we have all the data here, like we got everything we need. Hopefully it's a lot of good, clean data, quality data. We're going to use this to build predictive models into multiple things, whether that, how does seasonality affect sales next month, and how can we integrate that into our strategies? What copy is working on across different channels? What types of ads? What kind of messaging? What kind of targeting? What audiences are working, and how can we really get deeper into cohorts and really understanding sort of micro cohorts within cohorts, right? So in other words, not just like, okay, this is a remarketing audience and this is everybody else, like really getting deeper into that, taking all the different data sources we have, GA4, anything internally with your CMS or your CRM, putting that all together and getting more advanced with forecasting to really build some predictivity into some of our advertising efforts. And just obviously we're going to use it across all of our marketing channels. That's one of the beauties of it. It doesn't just fit into the Google Ads ecosystem, especially for social media targeting, that kind of thing. This is the stuff I want to get better at. I want to look at how can we integrate that knowledge into structuring, targeting, messaging, etc., build some predictability there, and really, be able to, when we talk about budget allocation, that's 101 for PPC, really utilizes to say, we've got to be pushing more budget towards these types of targets, this type of messaging, these channels, etc., and then wrap that all up in self-baked, attribution and lead scoring, whatever it is, really dependent on the client. But that's
impressive. Impressive, Cory. We get it. You're smart.
Hopefully you guys get something out of that. Yes.
As you were saying that, it reminded me of, remember these old school scripts that it's like, the script would like source the weather, and if like there was rainy that day, then it would push up the cost per clicks for like, I don't know, water damaged roof or something like that.
Yeah.
Did you ever use any of that stuff?
I kind of like use some of that stuff and then added to it. So for example, for clients that find that weather is a predictor for them, and we can actually see a correlation between those. But I didn't really mess with it too much. I just added a little bit, kind of customized it, and didn't really drive dramatically better results. We weren't selling umbrellas, so it wasn't like,
I just find it so funny over the years, all these like scripts that were like, old school scripts that be like, you do use this script and that script. I'm like, I never used it, or when people did use it, I'm like, it never worked. And it's like, dude, like, what are we doing here? Like, let's just do stuff that way. Once again, it's simple, it's practical, and it gets results. Yeah. And that's something that you and I have ranted about all this year, like the scripts. The scripts. That's something that like 2025 I will not be going down any script rabbit holes. There's only a few scripts I need, and they're the one that you provided, which is the UTM script that pushes in the keywords and the campaign names. That's all you need. That's all the magic. There's
So
other
he's only
stuff.
using scripts from me. That's it, guys.
Yeah,
That's it.
of course, because it's actually verified by the greatest man alive in
Stop.
history, just for anything, not even Google Ads.
It's ridiculous.
And yeah, just like it's also, I think it's the another year of just like cutting out the noise because there's a lot of
Mhm.
noise,
Yeah.
and the paths that we're walking haven't been walked before because the industry is changing. Our
Mhm.
businesses are different, our clients are different, and the directions we individually want to move in are different as well. And if you're going online on LinkedIn and seeing people aren't giving away their juice online, like the real stuff, it's all
Mhm.
behind the scenes. And it's like an investor. Would they really be giving away like their picks on like the how they invest? Unless they're trying to like bump the stocks up, most like good investors don't give away like good stuff before the facts. I think a lot of people are generous online, but I actually also
Mhm.
question the quality of it and the intention behind it. The
Mhm.
intention of just like, are they just doing this for clout, like creating content for content's sake? Because, I look at a lot of these strategies over the last year. I'm like, I know for sure if I implemented that, it would not work. E-commerce and for lead generation. And I think that's a really important thing is like be open minded to learn things, but also just realize like treat it like it's sea level information and then you're the things that you're self creating, self learning, self discovering by actually running accounts. That's the A quality stuff because you can actually verify it. It's very clear you did it, so you know it's done, and you can actually see the cause and effect. I did this and I got that result. I think that's a really important thing moving forward because
Mhm.
I don't watch any videos on Google Ads anymore. I don't read anything on LinkedIn anymore about this stuff. I'm like, there's just nothing that's new or original that's actually moving the needle. It's just more like the stuff we're talking about, which is like no one's talking about this stuff, by the way, Corey.
Mhm.
Like the stuff we're talking about, no one online's really talking about it in relation to ads. So it's like, well, then how are we going to move forward if we're waiting for someone else to guide the path? We're not.
Yeah, I do think we're going to get away from because it's just becoming so saturated, right?
Yeah.
When I got on LinkedIn a few years ago and started taking it more seriously, it did not feel as saturated. I felt like I kept maybe it's just my own algorithm, right, my own feed, but
Yeah.
I feel like I was not seeing nearly as much, and now it's just so oversaturated. Because it feels more like a Facebook feed than a LinkedIn feed. It's
Yeah.
just getting crazy, and I empathize with people that say it's just, every time I go on there, it's just overwhelming. It's like it's every post is another script and you write this in the comments section and get this thing for free. And to your point, you always got to judge the quality on there. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good stuff on there, but if you're spending all your time downloading the next requesting the next lead generation tactic from agency A, B, and C,
Yeah.
when are you getting the real work done? The real
Yeah.
work that's being done, because these guys are using this as a content generation tool. Like you and I have done it as well. It's so again, not to throw shade on that. It's a tactic, but understand what you're getting into when you're getting that stuff. So I'm assuming it's going to be so much more saturated than ever before. We might see it's going to be interesting to see the kind of pivots that agencies and marketers
Yeah.
pivot to, as opposed to just another whatever thing in the comments section and get my newest script or whatever. I think it'll be interesting because there's going to be too much of that to where people maybe they'll get sick of it. Maybe they feel like I already have 100 scripts I don't use. That whole thing. And I've been hearing a lot of complaints about people saying, "Yeah, I wrote whatever in the comments and I never got it." So there's
Yeah.
a lot of this stuff happening too. It'll be interesting to see how it shifts. And that was kind of like the number one 2024 tactic on LinkedIn. So it'll be interesting to see how that
Yeah.
changes as things become more and more saturated here. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, that's actually really good. I'm actually
Yeah.
just thinking now, I'm actually, because I didn't really release much this year on my YouTube channel, purely just because I was like the stuff I was releasing, even though I'm like, what people want to see it, I'm like, I'm bored by it. Like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
bored talking about this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the stuff that I'm interested in, it's either that I'm still working on it, so it isn't solidified, which most of the time when people actually put out content, it's not. They haven't even done it, so let alone solidified it. But more the fact that like the stuff I'm doing is very niche. So I'm like, do I want to go down that niche? Which I realized I do now. After I got that message from Joey on LinkedIn the other day and I chatted to you about it, I
Mm-hmm.
realized I think this is the next path I'm going down, which is um, simple, practical data analysis for advertising, for paid
Mm-hmm.
advertising channels. Because what you're doing is extremely advanced. And I think like less than 1% of 1% would even be able to logically comprehend what you're doing, let alone could actually action it. But I'm recognizing there's a huge gap in the market for people's data analysis skills. Like, I think people can look at data and they can kind of get the vibe, but they're limited by the outputs and also limited by how it's presented. And if they have the ability to present the data better themselves
Mhm.
and creatively dive into that data, I think that's where a lot of people get a shift now. Because like a lot of these people who are like Google Ads experts, like when you ask them or speak to them about like their data analysis, they're like, "I just look in the interface." I'm like, I've speak to people who have like agencies where I'm like, "How do you track your client results overall?" And it's like, "Oh, we just look in the Google Ads MCC." I'm like, "You don't have any sort of like third party tracking things?" Like, no. I'm like, "Whoa, dude! Like you can really easily build just like a dashboard that shows all your clients and all their results over the last 730 whatever date range, and just see if they're hitting KPIs or not." People don't have that. I reckon that could even transform an agency, just one spreadsheet. But I'm not going to give that one away because that is the juice.
That's for the mastermind.
That is for the $10,000 a year mastermind, which
All right.
Corey and I will be doing in 2025, which we failed to do with Nils and Ed Leak. Fuck those guys. Nah, I
Editor.
love them both. Yeah, so yeah, I think yeah, definitely this year. I know for me, the real focus is going to be on the consulting and data analysis, but also
Yeah.
making it more simple and practical, but more powerful as well.
Yeah.
Because ad accounts, diving deeper in ad accounts is not gonna. That's not where the gold is. It's not there. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's not there.
Well, I was gonna add to that and say, because you had mentioned sort of it's a very rare breed that can do the advanced analytics stuff, but I don't think it's impossible for people to get there. I think at some point they do the Google Sheets thing. They go from that. They maybe evolve into Excel because they have bigger data sets. Whatever they need the features and tools that are available in Excel outside of Google Sheets, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, they're going to hit that point where they say, okay, I want to get better at this. And there's going to be more advanced stuff. And maybe not every client needs all of that, but if you can, like I mentioned, build some kind of predictability into your advertising, if you have a bunch of data that you really want to activate, you're going to need some more sophisticated things.
Yeah,
So that's what I'm excited about is for me personally, that's like my number one thing this year is I really want to continue to push the industry forward, the paid search industry, PPC industry, whatever you want to
yeah,
call it. I really want to push it more forward because I think we have been stuck in the oversimplification that obviously works from a messaging standpoint for agencies. Make it seem complicated, but it's actually simple, etc. But I do think that this industry needs to push itself even further because it's becoming more challenging to do a great job at Google Ads. I think a
yeah,
lot of agencies can do a good job. They set up a data studio thing, whatever it is. They set up maybe some automated rules, bunch of PMAX campaigns, DSA campaigns, and just like call it a day and make a few tweaks here and there. But really pushing the industry forward to say, guys, we've got all this data. How can we really utilize it? Where are the
yeah,
unique things, the little diamonds in the rough that can make a huge, huge, massive difference in excelling these brands forward? So that's what I'm excited about personally, is just really trying to push the industry forward, sharing more of those deeper, more advanced things, helping people understand that it's not as complicated as you might have thought it was. When you look at programming stuff, it goes right over your head. But
yeah,
understand it's just another tool. I mean, scripts to people 3 years ago was like, oh, I don't know JavaScript. I can't possibly do it. But I think there's going to be this transition where we go, okay, I've got all the scripts I need. How can I actually activate some of the data that we have inside of our internal systems?
yeah.
So that's what I'm excited about, just pushing the industry forward and utilizing that stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember ChatGPT. ChatGPT, that is like the most transformational co-pilot or buddy you'll have because if you don't understand something, ask it. It's not going to like if you just put in a general prompt or you don't have some sort of baseline understanding, you will never get the outcome. But if you just put in that first 20% and really just try to get clear on the fundamentals of any tool or platform that you're understanding, then you can use that to really accelerate your growth.
Mhm.
I've used that. I use it nearly every day for writing scripts and writing
Sure.
code and writing other things. And I'm like, that I wouldn't, I just, out of just knowing myself, I just would have gone, this would have taken me days to figure this out and it would have broken versus now I just kind of start the code or the formula, whatever it is. So I know that it will start to know what direction I'm moving in. They're not literally just writing like logical language. Then it does this, then it does this, and then I'll go fix this, and it does it. So remember,
Mhm.
do the fundamental work on whatever you're wanting to learn, but then use ChatGPT. You can accelerate your learning so fast.
Yeah.
so
And yeah,
fast.
don't forget also to constantly challenge yourself to circle full back to where we started. Don't forget to keep challenging yourself. If you feel like doing account management or consulting has gotten really monotonous, ask yourself, is there a way I can do X better? Is there a
Yeah,
better way to do this? Is there a way that is more advanced? It's going to be challenging, but it can show incremental gains inside of the accounts that I'm working for. Always be asking yourself that question because you're just going to be at the tip of the spear and you're going to have some of
yeah,
the best clients in the world coming to you, understanding there's very few people in this industry that can do these types of
yeah,
things and answer these kind of questions. So be a solution provider, not a Google Ads provider or a
yeah.
PPC
Nice,
provider.
mate.
Yeah.
Well, let's wrap it up, Corey. Let's
All
do
right,
it, bro.
sir. All
How do people find
right.
you?
Yep. So Ads by Cory is the main site. If you want to contact me, you can do so there. Also LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify for PPC Unfiltered. How about you?
Wonderful. Michael Nadalin on LinkedIn, marketlead.com.au, and Marketlead on YouTube as well.
Love it.
Corey, awesome, mate. Look at this.
Yes.
2025 done.
Here we
Moving ahead.
go. Excited. All right. Thanks.
2024 done. 2025 coming out.
2024 is done. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Please do all the things like subscribe, react to it wherever you are
Yes.
seeing this, hearing this, and we appreciate you guys listening and tuning in.
Nice.
All right.